birthday it is. This channel's... yes, if I am managing to upload this at just the right time, this channel is 10 years old today, and my own birthday was just a few days before the upload. I started this channel when I had just turned 13, which, if I'm remembering correctly, was the bare minimum age to hold an account on this website at the time. And a few days after my birthday, I really was quick there. I was 13 when I started it, and now I am a haggard old corpse at the ripe old age of 23. It has been a decade, and what a decade it has been. In that time, I have dropped out of high school, scraped my way up through 4 hellish long years of BTECs, and against every odd, wrestled my way through undergrad. If everything goes well, and my life hasn't imploded between recording this in March and uploading it in July, I should be starting a master's degree soon. Yeah, this is rather a long-term project. I'm recording this audio right now in March because I have a lot of third year undergrad deadlines and very little spare time. So this will be worked on in fits and starts until it is ready. So, backstory. I guess I always sort of wanted to make videos. YouTube was a constant presence in my life from the time that my family got our first internet-connected computer in about 2006, 2007. And I sort of showed an aptitude for sort of making things quite young. I used to make Windows Movie Maker slideshows of my MS Paint fan art to Pokemon music and silly little stop-motion animations. But luckily for me, none of these things quite saw the light of the internet. Thank you, parents. Listen to your parents, kids. When I was 11, I took a filmmaking course in my school summer holiday, which was a lot of fun. I basically got to play around on a nature reserve with a camera, which was fun. But the thing that I really enjoyed, what really enraptured me, was the editing, where we got into a little editing bay. I learnt the rudiments of Final Cut and Premiere, and I got to spend days and days alone in a dark editing bay eating crisps and not talking to people. So yeah, I think that was fun. I think while you could pick up the technical aspects of video editing quite quickly, it takes quite a long time to get a grasp on sort of timing and rhythm. And I don't think I'm anywhere near good. I'm pretty shoddy, as my channel's videos will suggest. But I'm nowhere near as shoddy as I would have been if I didn't have this early exposure. So there I was, a precocious little snot stain who just really wanted to make things. I turned 13, and that leads us on to the first phase in the life of this channel. Just got to look at the dark days of twee indie Brit vlogging.
Just got to look.
Now, cast your mind back to the space year 2013. Ugh, yeah, I know, right? But if you were on YouTube in that year, especially if you were a teenage girl, and especially if you were a British teenage girl, then there was just no escaping the twee indie Brit vloggers. You know what I mean? Ukulele music, jump cuts, insincere and patronising mental health messaging, lols so random humour, probably promoting some sort of whiny acoustic guitar music album on the side. Come on, you've got to know the sort, even if they are very much out of fashion these days. Charlie is so cool, like Dan and Phil, and I can't name many others. So many of the other ones have just been so mired in scandal and allegations that I've just expunged them from my memory to save my mental health. Anyway, poor little 13-year-old me, too young and too naive to have any semblance of good taste, was just utterly obsessed with these videos. My Nintendo Wii, of all things, was where I watched YouTube then. I showed my parents these videos on our big living room TV, said, this is what I want to make. They promptly told me absolutely bloody not, because they just did not want my face on the internet. Kind of ironically, their suggestion to me sort of came close to what I do now. They suggested that I draw a little character to represent myself as a sort of proto-VTuber thing. So maybe they knew what was coming before I did. But no, I wouldn't have it. My heart was set on being a twee indie Brit vlogger. It took just obscene amounts of pestering, but eventually they did give in, and I could vlog, hooray! But only if my dad supervised every aspect of video production. Script writing, recording, editing, posting, supervising the comments. Yeah, oh. At the time I saw this as a bit of a drag, but I think actually it was a lot of fun, especially when he used his musical talent to make all the twiddly little musical bits for my intros. I think it was this practice that got my dad bitten by the YouTube bug, and he has his own channel now, and it's his biggest hobby, and he has a surprising amount of subscribers. I don't know how he does it. Anyway, yeah, my early days on YouTube were micromanaged by my dad, and in hindsight, it's obvious. He loved to insert little tidbits about himself into my scripts, about his band, about his music, and his weird ghost stories, and he was the one who came up with the name Just Got to Look in the first place. I made 5 of these dad micromanaged vlogs, but only 2 of them are extant on my channel today, my introduction vlog and my Christmas Comes Early vlog. The other 3, one about my school classes, one about a trip to the seaside in Great Yarmouth, and one where I just ramble about Pokemon games and TV shows. They've all just been lost to the ether. Yeah, they're totally lost media, unrecoverable. These 3 lost videos heavily featured my brother, and when he grew up, he decided he didn't want his face on the internet anymore. So one day when I left my laptop unsupervised, he deleted the videos without telling me. I mean, understandable. But I do wish he would have told me first, so I could have saved backups. But yeah. And the family computer, though these original copies were saved on, the computer the videos were recorded on, has since been pretty thoroughly destroyed. So I guess those vlogs are with the angels now. These videos are a little cringy. My delivery is all over the place, and that kind of deer in the headlights stare I have isn't great. But I don't want to get rid of them. The 2 that I have, they're cute. By the standards of what 13-year-olds get up to on YouTube nowadays, they're practically wholesome. I think that for kids this age, there is a level of cringiness that is not only totally normal and natural, but probably what's most healthy for them. 13-year-olds should not be approaching their creative process through a lens of smug, guarded, ironic detachment. We don't want another generation of Rick and Mortys on our hand. 13-year-olds, be earnest, be joyful, be geeky, be cringy, and be free.
Why hello there, I'm Nitro, almost as wide as I am tall nigh, and today I'm hatching a sinister plot to devastate the childhoods of every resident of the British Isles in a series I'm calling What Went Wrong, the Media of the British Childhood.
So, the indie Brit vlogging era came and went, and with it came a lot of changes in my life. The biggest change was my dropping out of high school in 2014. Me, who has a first-class degree, is also a high school dropout. Though it's not something I particularly want to go into, it was because of bullying. It wasn't the sort of acute physical bullying like you see in sort of movies. It was the sort of persistent low-level harassment that just sort of befalls neurodivergent kids who are at the very bottom of the social hierarchy. I'd had practically a decade of it at that point, and while it's not sort of as immediately harmful as being beaten up by a jock, it just sort of slowly erodes at you until you can't fight back anymore. And since it comes from basically everyone in your classes, there was very little my school could do about it other than sort of shove me into a cupboard and enroll me in a local homeschooling program. Let me tell you, I have nothing but sympathy for the kids of today. As the OG quarantiner living in a social distancing era of my own design, and who got no work done during those 2 years, I feel for all of you who lost years of your education during the pandemic. Yes, for the 2 years I was quote unquote homeschooled, I did basically nothing with my life. I left school at 16, with a sparse handful of sub-GCSE qualifications, real functional skills qualifications that are basically not worth the paper they're printed on. But these meagre grades were enough to let me scrape into the local college. Hooray! Since I had an obvious interest in making videos, I ended up on a creative media course. I was initially placed in the level 1 class, which is a class for people who have no prior qualifications. But I was boosted up to the level 2 course, where my tutors noticed that I had a lot of academic potential. I took my GCSEs, better late than never, and started to thrive learning video editing at college. That was when I dusted off this channel once more and decided to start making things again. But by this time in my life, I was 16, going on 17, and I had grown totally disillusioned by the Just Got to Look brand. So I rebranded under the name Nitr09, a reference to the explosive ace users in Doctor Who. And I initially used this tasteful yellow and purple colour scheme and this nice bold font, which were very much in the style of the times. But what would I do for content? Now, this is intensely embarrassing for me to admit, but at this period in my life, I was obsessed with the nostalgia critic. I may have progressed beyond the twee indie Brit vlogger era, but I still hadn't developed good taste. I wanted to model my new YouTube videos on his, making reviews, quote unquote, that were essentially just play-by-plays wrapped up in sort of very shallow critique. But I was still a pathetic weenie baby, and I did not want to poke the copyright dragon. What would be my genius solution? I would review British TV of the 50s and 60s. Technically still under copyright, but sort of obscure enough to float gently under the radar. And this didn't come out of nowhere. It wasn't just for practicality's sake. Sort of television preservation and archivism were genuine interests of mine at the time, and subjects I was studying on my college course. Anyway, along came what went wrong, and putting my disgusting pudgy flesh meat on camera, like, ugh, what is that? Why did I think it was acceptable to be seen on camera looking like that? Ugh, vegetarianism, not even once. And I had lore and characters and just stupid skits. And it was all just this awful low-rent copy of the Nostalgia Critic. There was my reviewer Sona, of course, all sarcastic and full of self-deprecating jokes.
Ahoy hoy, I'm Nitro. If I can't hang with the cool kids, I'll hang with the Rope 9. And today, I'm surgically removing my cringe lobe so I can become less of a grotesque parody of a human being.
Ugh, that's in poor taste. Then there was Teddy, an eldritch entity of chaos and death contained within the body of a teddy bear.
Whatever. Hello, Nitro Lovey. Well, the dark forces have been keeping me alive.
And finally there was Evelyn Kazi, the evil 1950s counterpart to my reviewer Sona, and the star of the fake BBC TV show Evelyn Kazi and the Gay Little Onion Child.
Good evening, children. My name is Miss Evelyn Kazi, and today I have my little chum, the Gay Little Onion Child. You want to sing a song, Onion Child?
Yes! My name is Onion Child and I'm a little boy. Don't put me in your soup, 'cause I don't want to die.
I made 2 episodes and a minisode, left them up for a few weeks, and then privated them in shame. I don't know. I think they would have been okay if someone with even half an ounce of screen presence had presented them, but I had, and still very much have, the screen charisma of a dead fish. They're some of the only videos I've ever made that I'm actually genuinely ashamed of. While the others are just acceptably harmless cringe, these are just I deserve to be bullied for even thinking of making them. But from out of the cringe came greatness. Well, okayness. Acceptable content. I dipped my little teenaged hoof into gaming videos and produced a few little videos playing the games Bamzuki and An Adventure Rock. Some of the humour has aged quite badly, yeah, and the quality is a bit crap, but these are something. There's something to me. I like them, and I liked the process of making them. I come across better when you can't see my face. But after just 5 episodes of Bamzuki, my college work would come to consume my life. I would get very busy, and my channel would fizzle out into obscurity once more. But all was not lost. We now enter a sparse but very, very much still important era of my YouTube channel.
The next morning, she wakes up and finds her boyfriend still not there. She gets out to check, and man, door, hands, hook, car, door!
This next era of my channel was marked by my growing proficiency with HitFilm, a piece of video editing software that is honestly pretty good. Though I would initially be using the free Express version of HitFilm, which in and of itself is a great piece of software for something that you can get for free. I eventually received a free copy of the Pro version through my college, which took my videos to a much higher level. I produced a lot of Utao videos during this time with my Utauloid Drew. If you don't know what Utao is, it's sort of like Vocaloid, like Hatsune Miku, only it's free and totally customizable. You can make your own voice banks, you can make your own Vocaloids essentially. I honestly don't have a lot to say about these videos. They sort of are what they are. They're just sort of covers of songs I like with some sort of twiddly video bits just for the sake of having something on the screen. Another type of video I produced in this time were the silly little meme videos I made with my brother Wildcard. Say hello to everyone, Wildcard.
Hello, Wildcard.
I love these ones in particular because of just how much fun they are. I loved messing around with all the silly stock images, and Wildcard's voice acting really brings them to life.
That's right. I'm the only reason anyone ever watches this dumb channel.
Hey, you scamp, watch it. Anyway, these videos were just a lot of fun to make, and we made a bunch of them. Wildcard's actual performing talent infused them with a great sense of life and energy, and the quick pace allowed me to practice editing in regard to comedic timing and all the little visual gags I added. I think Man Door Hand Hook Car Door is my favourite of the bunch, not only because that story is just a total classic, but because I'm pretty proud of all the little flame effects I did, which took forever to render on my poor little dinosaur of a laptop. We were making these videos all the way until 2020, and then they just sort of stopped. Not for lack of wanting to, it just sort of happened. We'd always played around with the idea of doing some more of them, and we even recorded audio for one of them, but that's just sort of died on the vine. We made something similar recently with the Grog Paint video, but that was sort of its own thing. That wasn't really a meme. But these meme videos are definitely something I want to do again, so watch this space. Another thing from this era that I think really warrants explanation was Scrumble. These two eerie sort of ARG looking cartoons with the weird passages about time travel written in the descriptions were initially going to form part of a larger project. These would have culminated in a sort of fake video essay where I would pretend it was a real show and would be analysing it in depth. It was going to be a parody of those cartoon channels who make extensive videos analysing cartoons like My Little Pony and Steven Universe, and acting like they're the deepest, most meaningful shows ever. Except Scrumble, this whole fake show I was analysing, would be something that only I remembered, and it would have had this sort of creepy eldritch undertone. Throughout the video essay, my reviewer Sona would have grown increasingly more unhinged, and the video would have ended in some sort of massive breakdown. I think it would have been really cool if I'd actually pulled this whole thing off, but unfortunately all that remains on my channel are these two stupid animations that just look really weird out of context. There was even a third Scrumble video that I made and just didn't upload. It's just sat sat on the hard drive of my old broken laptop, and I don't know why I didn't. I think maybe it was just a little much. Other projects from this era include my very brief 2-episode foray into trying to be a Reddit YouTuber. That dates that period, and Nitro posting, the series where I milked my own try-hard internet posts for clout. Not much worth speaking about. But as this era of my YouTube channel came to an end, a new one began. The current era of Nitr09, which started with a little bit of an unexpected hit. Yes, you watching this right now, you've probably never actually seen any of my obscure cringe fail content, and you've just been sitting through this huge long video in just abject confusion. Most viewers probably only know me for one thing, Cha-Cha Real Smooth. It may have only had 1,500 views at the time of me recording this, and that may be an utterly pitiful sum compared to every other YouTube video on the planet, but just let me have this one, okay? Cha-Cha Real Smooth was the closest thing I've ever had to a viral hit, accumulating a majority of its views within the first few days. And let me tell you, watching all the views and the comments roll in was honestly a little bit scary. I made the video just as I had moved back into my student accommodation after the summer holidays. I was just anxious and homesick and bored, and I just pulled out my laptop and drawing tablet and just made it in a few hours for something to do. The character in the video is The Raven from my failed webcomic Quoth the Raven, and the whole sort of video concept is something that was happening in animation meme YouTube about that time. I made it, uploaded it, and then promptly forgot about it. I had to go home that weekend. I have a pet snake and I wasn't able to bring her to uni, so I was sort of tied to home throughout my whole degree. I stepped through the door of my parents' house. My dad looked up at me from his computer, and the first words that left his mouth were, "Have you looked at your YouTube channel recently?" Ominous. Well, I hadn't, and I was kind of panicking for a minute, thinking it had been hacked or something. I pulled my phone out of my bag, opened YouTube, and the video had 700 views. 700 views! More than almost everything else I've ever made. And for the next couple of days, I'd just check on it every few hours, and the views were going up and up, and I honestly just felt a little bit sick. Though it sounds really silly, I like being a tiny channel. I like shouting futilely into the void. And if loads and loads of people are actually watching what I make, it sort of defeats the point in my eyes. The very largest I'd ever really ideally want my channel to be is at the 1,000 sub monetization boundary, so I could make a little bit of loose change of all my efforts. But like we all know that's not going to happen. But I don't want to be a capital Y YouTuber, you know what I mean? And it sounds ridiculous, but for a while I was just lying awake going, will I get sued for using the song? Will I get cancelled? Will I get doxxed and spotted and all the other horrible things that happen to people on the internet? And yes, this was all over 1,500 views. And that's why I say don't like, don't subscribe at the end of my videos. But to my relief, nothing came of it. I remained nobody. And I didn't make anything else until the start of this year. My recent spate of uploading gaming videos started in February, just as I was entering crunch time for my final batch of undergrad work. I'd gotten all the actual lectures out of the way, and I was really just stuck in my room, working every hour of every day on my assignments. I had a lot of big essays, and then there was the dissertation, which was 7,500 words of absolute torment. And what little breaks I did get, I spent just sort of staring off into space or doom scrolling on my phone. It just sort of sucked the life out of me. And I was also going through a bit of a health crisis at the time, which was just another nail in the coffin, to be honest.
And I thought I just needed something fun to do to unwind, or I just wasn't going to get it all done in time. Something energising I could do on my breaks that would leave me amped up and happy and ready to work again. I could exercise, I could go for a run, I could join a sports team. No, of course I wouldn't do any of that. That's just not my style. Predictable as ever, I sat down in front of the computer and revamped my YouTube channel. And I've got to say I love the new look, sort of retro and futuristic at the same time. And then there's my VTuber. Contrary to what you might think, I'm not actually a furry. Not that I think that that's an offensive term, not that I'd object to being called one. It's just sort of, I'm not a member of that community. The very first version of this character was just an ordinary human. It's based on a comic book style caricature my brother drew of me sometime last year. He told me he drew it to be deliberately unflattering, but honestly I just really love it. So when it came time to draw my YouTuber, it was my primary sort of inspiration, my base. But I thought, if you're going to have an avatar character, if you're going to represent yourself in this way, why be a boring old human person when you can be a creature? I started by adding the sort of elf ears, and then I added a pair of horns. I initially sketched big tall sort of reindeer antlers, but then I realised they'd interfere on the little game window too much, they'd be a distraction, so I changed them to ram horns, and boom, I'd accidentally fallen down the slippery slope and created a furry. Shock horror. My character's full name is Callisti Nitr09, and she actually has 4 eyes under the goggles, so you're more than welcome to draw fan art if you want to, but to be honest, I don't expect anyone ever will. And then I just started making videos again. I started with Bamzuki and then went on to Minecraft, Spore, and the fan game Pokemon Omicron. Key moments in my channel's recent history include my triumphant return, the iconic fraudulent fridge veto fracas and the resulting Appliance Alliance tournament, the founding of Dunzukin in my cozy Minecraft world, the Great Chicken Conundrum, and of course the building of my lovely Dunzukin castle. And with that brings us just about up to date with the history of the Nitr09 Productions YouTube channel. But what, my dear Nitro heads, does the future hold for us? Now, what does the future hold? Well, as for the immediate future, it's probably going to be very much of the same. As I record this now in July, undergrad is pretty much out of the way, and I have more free time to be making videos. Expect more Minecraft, more time in our lovely cozy Minecraft world, maybe some more Bamzuki as I find more ideas, and unless a certain litigious company kicks up a fuss, I really hope I can keep on making Let's Plays of the fan game Pokemon Omicron. But since I do have a little more time on my hands, I'd quite like to be doing other things as well, things that actually require time and effort and editing. I'd eventually like to buy a new computer, a better computer, but that'll take quite a lot of scrimping and saving, so it's not on the horizons right now. I'll make the best of what I've got and just make some new stuff. But one thing's for sure, this channel ain't going anywhere anytime soon. YouTube would have to delete my channel to make me go away, and if they did that, you bet your arse I'd just pester them over and over again until they reinstated it. The content may change and grow along with me, but I can bet you I will be here in 10 years. I will be 33 and even more gross and decrepit and haggard than I am now, but I will still be making the odd, silly YouTube video. And if you've made it this far into the video, if you've made it all the way to the end, well, firstly, thank you so much for being a true blue Nitro head. And secondly, just this once, I'm going to break my usual saying of don't like, don't subscribe. If you're watching this and you consider yourself a fan of my content in any way, shape or form, please, if you can, just drop me a little comment. I have been your host, Nitr09. This has been my very special 10th anniversary, and I hope to see you all again soon. Goodbye.
You know, I don't really know if I'm comfortable with that line from earlier.
What line?
The one, you know it, the one where I'm like, oh, I'm the only reason anyone ever watches
It's
this
funny.
channel.
It's good. People will love it.
It's funny. I'm sure people
It
will
matches
love
your
it.
character. It matches you perfectly.
Massively egotistical.
You can be egotistical. It's our 10th
No,
anniversary.
it's your 10th anniversary.
Oh, that's right. It is my 10th anniversary. Tell me happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Nitro.
I can't hear you.
Happy birthday, Nitro.
You know, there's a little mouse in here. I still can't hear you.
Happy birthday, Nitr09!